I don't have to go out because this guy's gonna go through my left shoulder in a second to need him on the blind spot.
Yeah, no,
There we go.
no problem. Okay, and
He's
we're
not allowed
live.
to.
We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to Sportscast ZA, where we tell the untold stories of people's lives through sport. This evening, I have a very special guest, dear friend, super well accredited, and I just want to go through a few of his credentials. Western Province men's interim academy head coach, Western Province senior men's consultant, interim Cape Cobras assistant coach, Central Gauteng Lions under 19A as well as academy head coach, South Africa under 19 assistant coach, current manager and head coach of the University of Johannesburg, and most recently the interim Pakistan Cricket Board head coach. Good evening, Coach Siya. Welcome to the show.
Sure, thank you. I've done a lot of interim gigs by the sound of my CV. So hopefully I can hold on to something for a lot longer. I'm joking. Thank you, Reese. Yeah, good to be on the show. Super excited. Yeah, so happy to get to it, and hopefully every other job that comes up hopefully sticks in the future. But currently blessed to be at the University of Johannesburg on a full-time basis, and enjoying everything that comes with that. And this stuff is part of my growth, so I'm excited to be on the show and share a couple of stories of the journey.
No, 100%. Coach Sia, I'm going to get straight into the thick of things. What I want to know first is how did the appointment of interim head coach for Pakistan come about? Where were you when you received the call, and what was the experience like?
Sure. I was minding my own business at home after the university's week in Bloemfontein. Just a couple of days later, um, probably recovering from a very good end of year function at UJ. So, yeah, I got a call around about the 11th or 12th of December. Stand to be corrected if I go back to my call data. Um, from the cricket services manager at Lions, who's my former manager, Mr. Ruben Mandlazi, saying that I was going to get a call from Mr. Sibuyile Mqungwana, who's the operations manager at Cricket South Africa, who obviously deals with the runnings and the planning of the inbound tours of every international side that comes into our country to play cricket. Um, and yeah, I asked Mr. Mandlazi, what's the deal? What's this? He's like, no, you'll find out. I think it's something to do with assisting with the Pakistan guys that are coming in. There's going to be a pre-test camp because obviously the bilateral series between South Africa and Pakistan was um, a multi-formatted series. So there was T20s, 50 over, and then tests. And in the modern day game, most nations, because of the test schedule, things overlap. Um, and so white ball would be playing at the same time as a test team arriving, and so forth. Just the design of the test championship and the schedule just facilitates that. Um, and yeah, so Mr. Mqungwana phoned me, and we had a chat on the phone, and it was quite a simple, abrupt, and to the point call about what my role and responsibility was, but I didn't understand the magnitude of it until it really dawned on me 2 days later, or actually a day later, when I actually met with the players and the coaching staff and sat in a room, and I was told that I'm the interim red ball coach. And I've got to run a pre-test series camp with 9 players. The rest of the players were in the white ball squad, and they would join us at a later stage, just prior to the Boxing Day test, around about the night of the 22nd, so after the pink day. The white ball players would leave the next day, and then the red ball guys would fully immerse themselves into the test preparation, effectively 4 days before the first ball of the Centurion test. Yeah, so the experience, unbelievable. Amazing people to work with. Um, I didn't do it alone. Um, I worked with a team, so we put together a team um, in collaboration with obviously Lions Cricket, Mr. Mandlazi and myself, and obviously a few other people got involved in setting up coaches that we be involved. So what was in any national team, any test side, and any one day side was also what we had. So I had amazing support and assistance from Gert Oosthuizen, who coaches at JP, JP Quandam Cricket Club.
Yes.
A long time colleague, used to play for me at the Cats, a guy that I trust. I had the assistance of Tom Koza, who's at Cornwall. Worked with him. He was a CSA spin consultant, so he could add value in that sense. Former Lions and Eastern Storm head coach Sandile Masengemi, who's currently with the Lions women's team as the assistant coach. Um, who else? Tapelo Morche, the Lions under 16A coach, who throws absolute bullets with the sidearm. Um, Yusuf Bulbulia from Lenasia. So a very homegrown um, kind of coaching staff. We had Ziad, the Lions physio, as the team physio. So he was looking after the guys' bodies. And then the real man behind the operation and making sure that everything is good, Mr. Llewellyn Roman from Cape Town. He's a seasoned liaison officer, and he was tasked with being a manager of that group in a very difficult time for Pakistan Test cricket when obviously, Jason Gillespie had resigned when the players were on the flight. So there was a couple of challenges and feelings that guys weren't, a lot of uncertainty, if I can put it that way.
Yes.
And it was important to just get, in my experience, to get that in place and get everyone settled and understand that we got to try and remain competitive. We got to make it an attractive test series. Um, we got to make sure we prepare very well. We got to make sure that our minds are not worried about what's happening in the boardroom. And I say we because I'm speaking from the position of the role that I was playing as the coach, the head coach. Um, and yeah, I had to cut a holiday short. There was a family function at my in-laws in the Eastern Cape, and I missed that. Yeah, my wife being very understanding and supportive, she kind of understood that that was an opportunity of a lifetime to just grow. So hell of amazing, amazing to work with a captain like Sean Masood. If anyone watched the Test series, just watched him get better and better, grow. And for a Pakistan captain, opening batter, to come to South Africa and get 145 in the second innings after following on in that second test in Cape Town was just a testament to the way that he prepared, the way that he engaged in learning from me and the coaching team that we had about conditions. We did various things to simulate what South Africa could bring, from a specific point of view. Marco Janssen, him dealing with him as well as he did in the second innings with the extra bounce at Newlands. Um, we had, those cooler boxes that you have at the stadium that they put the drinks in. We had Coach Sandile, who's a left arm thrower, literally lined up 3 cooler boxes and have him run up and throw from close to try to simulate that extra bounce without it being a bowling machine. So there are various creative methods that we use to try and get the guys as close to ready as possible, and for the Pakistan Cricket Board to not worry. There's communication with obviously the white ball head coach, interim head coach at the time, Mr. Akib. Um, so Coach Akib and Azza Mahmood, the bowling coach, was in constant talks with them and Sean, and just trying to work out a formula as to how best to be competitive in the series. And I think it was an exciting series. I think a lot of people got to see what the kind of talent Pakistan has and experience. Mohammad Abbas coming back for the first time after 3 years, amazing professional. Just to name a couple, the young players, the vice captain, Saab Shakil, amazing talent also. And it's difficult for guys that grow up on subcontinent wickets to come and get some scores here where things are really difficult. And you know what South Africa are going to bring. The wickets are going to be a little bit, they're going to be bouncy, they're going to be seaming. it's probably the toughest place for anyone to bat as a top order batsman. I thought for the most parts of it, you have guys like Babar that are just world class professionals, and you know that them joining the Red Bull side makes it even more exciting. But yeah, it was a great experience, an amazing journey for me. Truly blessed and truly thankful for the opportunity and for Pakistan cricket for trusting in me and my team and trusting the work that we can do and our experience. And we hope that we can grow and those individuals that were involved can find pathways for themselves also within the international space because they're really, really good coaches. And I got to see that in that week and very professional in their work. So the credit doesn't just go to me, but a whole host of people, team that really looked after the guys.
No, look, firstly, congratulations to you and the team. I think that was an exceptional um, turn of events, I guess. And yeah, like for me, I didn't know. I was watching the game and I could see how Pakistan was obviously improving. I had zero idea that you were part of it. I just knew you were throwing balls, but that's all I knew. And yeah, I just want
Yeah.
to say all the glory to God, and long may that
Amen.
opportunities continue.
Amen, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't. I threw less balls.
Yeah,
And yeah, but I had amazing people around me. We had amazing young net bowlers. Tatelo Mapaka, Kwena's brother. We had Chad Clausen coming in and help. Sia Alam. Just giving guys an opportunity that were around in the province also that are good cricketers. There were some youngsters that also came in and bowled. Um, yeah, and I was truly grateful to actually share that experience with other people as well that are like minded, that are just as passionate about the game and their journeys along the way.
I think I've never heard of something like this happen before. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but was this like the first sort of instance where you know a cricket board had to in another country find people to run the team for the interim?
Yeah, it's probably the first of its like. I've never heard of anything. So both of you and I of that nature. You hear about split formats and
Yeah, yeah,
coaching staff for Red Bull. They're already appointed, and but it was in the heat. Well, not the heat of the moment. Well, I guess the heat of the moment, but it was powerful. It was amazing, Reese, and it was a huge adrenaline rush. It only hit me when I got on the flight on Pink Day to head to East London to spend time with the family for a few days. At shucks, this is what we've just done for the last 10, 12 days. Um, but also credit to the ground staff at Wanderers
yes,
because it was a very rainy period building up to that Pink Day and that sort of and doing that one day series. But Frosty and his team at the Lions at the Wanderers Stadium were amazing. Um, the change room attendance, this whole thing is not just it doesn't happen without the stadium manager Asif, who worked tirelessly to give us absolutely everything that we needed to be ready to give us access to everything that we needed to make this a successful pre-test series preparation. Speaks to the way that the results don't speak, they don't say much, but if you look at the growth and the improvement, maybe in the future, you know, this is how to do it in terms of getting to a country 10, 12, 15 days and actually acclimatizing yourself, getting ready, getting local knowledge as consultants perhaps, and making sure that you space in your knowledge and your preparation on the conditions. I mean, I went as far as a bit of data analysis, a bit of ground stats, who takes wickets in Centurion, because that also affects your selection.
yes,
Knowing the stats the last 5 to 10 years, maybe the last 10 15 test matches played at a certain ground kind of give you a trend. So we went through that type of stuff, myself and the captain. I shared that information with the coach, shared it in the group, just so that we all know what is happening. We created profiles. We found profiles for the players, what their stats were. We put folders together. so that we could also know what the players are about prior to getting out there and being able to suggest something to someone and how to prepare them. Because if you know how to prepare them, if you know that information, you know how to prepare them. And I think that I don't think we left any stone unturned.
Yes.
I don't think I allowed room for mediocrity to step into the environment. The players are extremely professional. They're extremely humble and receptive to learning. Perception from the outside is probably contrary to what I'm saying, but having spent that time with them, I can assure you that a guy as successful as Muhammad Abbas um, is humble. He knows what he wants to do, but he's also asks a lot of questions, needs a lot of advice in the sense of you'll challenge your thinking as a coach, which allows you to grow. And in a test environment, it's a no bullying around. You need to be honest.
Yes.
You can't come with stories. You got to be to the point. And if you don't know, you say, "Well, I don't know. I want to go find out what that's about. Let me look into it. Let me watch you. Let me observe. Let's see if we can find a middle ground."
No, I'm absolutely just grateful that this opportunity came about. I don't think there's many people I know in the cricket space, me personally, that is more deserving and ready for an opportunity like that. And I mean, and when I say ready, you were ready when the opportunity came by. So very grateful. The other thing is, you're such a nice guy. You literally formed a team from all over the place, listening to the names. So those guys will also take that opportunity and relish it for the rest of their lives. So yeah, couldn't have happened to a better person right now that I'm aware of. And yeah, long may that journey continue.
Thank you very much. I'm truly grateful, and I'm truly grateful to those guys and everyone that played a part in affording me the opportunity and making it a success.
No, absolutely. Coach Sia, I want to know what your experience has been like managing, coaching, and mentoring the University of Johannesburg.
Oh man, what a dream! So good that I renewed my contract, or my employer felt it was necessary to offer me a new contract in September last year. Um, it's a different space because it's got no perfect science. It's not necessarily just the cricket space. It's not just academic space. It's not just a life skill space. It's everything that in one to prepare these young people to, with the understanding that 99% of them are not going to play for South Africa.
Yes,
However, you have the opportunity and the responsibility as a manager and a head coach to shape and direct their journey academically, their choices, their growth, and teach them the ability to have a high degree of discipline, accountability, and somewhere in between a little bit of cricketing success. The University of Johannesburg is it's 20 years this year. So 2005
yeah,
is when it was established, when that merger happened with all the various small technicons and schools and that sort of thing. And we're very proud of what we've achieved in the 20 years. However, knowing our leadership and our senior director, Mamnom Samahlangu, our vice chancellor, Prof. Mbedi, um, and my line manager, Mr. Ibrahim Bumgad, they very ambitious people. They want success. They want to equip us with the ability to grow and to succeed, and to produce and develop winning people in life first, winning people in academia, that will contribute positively to society. And then hopefully every now and then we get a special cricketer like a Ryan Rickleton, who's a UJ club member. He hasn't played in a while because he's just set the world alight.
yes,
Many of them, our test captain, Timber went to UJ, Stephen Cook, Neil McKenzie, Jimmy Cook is a former coach, Junior Dala, to Brace Shamsi. You name them, UJ's produced them in this period of, you know, obviously there were some that come from the Raul era, and then UJ in the last 20 years. So it's been an amazing journey. I'm part of a rich history. The club has recently, last year at the UJ Awards, was awarded the Sports Club of the Year, the cricket club,
Yes.
which is a massive achievement in the greater scheme of what the university has. In terms of rugby, football's been so successful. Netball's been immense with under Bongi Msomi for a couple of years now, and we hope that they may remain that way. And it's just been amazing to be part of such a um, massive structure for human development and human growth. So I'm truly blessed to have the job. We've been lucky, or we've been good along the way. I don't want to say lucky.
Yeah.
We've won some trophies. We're hoping to win some more. We've had improvement in our USA performances every year. We hope that, long may that continue, and hopefully in the next year or two we can win it. And if and should varsity sports cricket should return, we'd like to be in the runnings of playing in the final. And we dream big. But we want people to get diplomas and degrees and leave our environment with something that no one can ever take away from them, and that's an incredible education, an incredible experience.
No, yes, of course. I think in any academic institute, academics are always, first, and then cricket's just a bonus. I must say also, you spoke about winning USAs in future. I think you're well on your way there because watching your team, they're just incredibly well drilled, and that's I use that as a blanket term holistically. And they're young. You always go and search for the best young up and coming talent, which would at least give you 5, possibly 10 years, depending on what their ambitions are. So I think in a couple of years' time, hopefully you have, your core, and they will definitely challenge for that final spot.
100%, I hope so. Pray every day for it.
No,
It'll be a nice thing for the varsity, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Your hard work, and just the person you are, as you say, no mediocrity, that'll get you there. Speaking of UJ and its holistic development, tell me a bit about the cricket program and how it benefits society at large from a cricketing perspective, from from students such as Linda Ndlovu and the likes. How does the UJ cricket program benefit a Linda Ndlovu?
Look, sure, it's a massive question and a very important one. We sometimes in your recruitment, you're not always looking for the best cricketer because unfortunately, we don't necessarily get the number one pick in the country. We know the institutions that get that. Um, they're a lot older than 20 years. They're probably 10 times our age, some of them. Um, but we have an attractive program. We probably have an attractive. Um, we have great facilities. We have immense player support program. I think that's massive. So within UJ, we have uh, psychologists. I mean, just the USA alone, we traveled with psychologists. We had a team doctor. We had a team manager outside of me, so I was focused on just coaching. We had two coaches. Um, we had a stato, we call him stato, who was scoring and tracking everything. We had a social media person. We had a team of 10, somewhere around there. Team
Yes.
of 10, 14 players. And for a guy like a Linda Ndlovu, a Tepo Staffa, um, even, you know, a boy from Pretoria, a boy from wherever, any part of the country. I don't want to specifically focus on a certain demographic of player because the needs of our country are so diverse and so broad, um, and the times are so difficult for parents. But speaking about that, it's a life skills program, so it's a continuation for a guy like Linda and Staffa from being at a school like JP, where you know the focal point is developing young black men. and making sure that they leave school and they can get into university. But a guy like Linda, it's not. It's about him giving back to his community. It's about being part of a family. It's about stretching that growth period that gives him access to resources that he probably wouldn't have um, normally,
Yes.
if I could say it that way. But it's a place where you belong. You're part of something great. You're required to be disciplined. You're required to also make sacrifices, um, and that's life. That's growing young people. That's growing young men and young women in this country to be able to lead the way going forward and end them find themselves in positions like me and every other person that does become a professional at what they do and do it to the best of their ability with the right amount of discipline to be successful. And I think that's what it does for those kids. It's not a second chance because they haven't failed. They've managed to get into the university, and cricket has been the attraction that has brought them there. But the focal point, and they're very quickly reminded that you are here as a student first, then you're an athlete. And I just think it's great life skills. It's integrations with other cultures, kids from other provinces. That's the matters the most. You know, you're accountable for class. You're accountable for academic check-ins. You're accountable for one-on-one coaching. You're accountable for team practices. You need to spread yourself in these spaces to grow and develop holistically as a human being. And I think it's just a great place for young people to be. And I'm sure other institutions can probably boast the same, if not better. But we've got a way with our kids, and we absolutely love our boys and girls. We make them part of the club, so they run the club. There are students in our executive committee for the club. There are students that are helping with coaching. We foster coaching opportunities for them to make money for themselves. However, we don't know what how deep every situation is at home. We
Yeah.
try to find out as much as we can, but they depending on how much they open up. So some of our students work. They pay their way. They pay their own membership to activate their scholarship. They do all of those things, and I think by doing that, by not giving handouts completely and making people work for things, you actually empowering them more than just giving a handout and say, well, here you go, we'll give everything to you, you deal with whatever you have to do. And then that way you get the mediocrity, the
Yes.
complacency. So we need to have a give and take. They have to mentor first years. They have to help a first year through the year. They need to let us know how's that kid developing. They need to touch base with them. So there's a lot of things in that program that benefit all kids from all walks of life. Black, blue, pink, purple. It's just a great program, and that's how we affect. We also have a social element for them, where they engage with a community club, our partners, Punters Cricket Club, Punters Hill,
Yes.
and they play on a Saturday to help the growth of that club. But also, we benefit greatly from the partnership with Puntons. Our boys are able to have that student experience also, where they meet other people that are passionate about cricket but aren't playing cricket for to try and make a living out of it in the future. And that's a very important lesson and an important side screen for them to have or mirror experience, and to realize how grateful that how blessed that they are, for the opportunities that they have, because the program that Mr. Sean Naidu runs at Puntons is so amazing for the community and for our boys to be able to be part of it and be part of that environment is also very beneficial. We also very much immerse ourselves within the university sports and university space where we assist with other sporting codes when they have events. We go and support everyone. So my outlook is really about they go and do a clinic, an annual clinic that we coach at a school at Soweto campus called Fundu Jabule, where the boys actually give up the most important thing to them, which is their time.
Yeah.
Um, and they go and spend the day with kids, and we educate the first year foundation phase students on how to coach cricket, how to. This year we helped with rugby, how to play rugby and all of this stuff because we have some boys that played it at school. Um, and it's a very educational moment, but also a humbling opportunity for our players. So in terms of the community's impact, we do various drives. Um, Last 2 years ago, we did a sanitary pad drive. where we assisted with the Lions. We do a Mandela Day, which is not just another thing for us, but it's a very important thing for our players to be part of in partnership with Lions Cricket.
Yeah.
So there are various things that we try do to holistically develop the students and benefit them in a fully sort of circular um, manner, if I could put it in that way. So it's a really, really great program, and I'm grateful to be part of it and leading it and making sure that it works because someone has to do it and do it properly. And we have great leadership that allows to do these initiatives and even help within faculties where we host a clinic for the sports management first years for their practical hours, teach them how to play cricket, and those types of things. So we really do spread ourselves. But we have periods, and it's a periodized program, so we won't do that in cricket season. Absolutely not.
Yes.
Maybe we'll catch it at the back end of the season or in the winter. Do a lot of this work in winter when actually it's their time off, and it's the biggest sacrifice for them. It's nearly exams, and they're very antsy about it. So we let them focus on exams, and then we get back and we do a week of charity work and supporting other people and so forth. So it's been really fluid for us and really great, and we're grateful for the support that we have.
No, absolutely. That's such a profound statement that you had just made there. I obviously wanted to get that on record because I know the work that you guys are doing. And for those who potentially are still wondering which varsity to go to, especially if you're a sportsman, obviously not necessarily if you're not a sportsman, but there you have it. Serious program run by Coach Sia and his colleagues there. And speaking of, you know, recruiting players from all walks of life and any region in the corner of South Africa, um, I want to go back to not so long ago. You had gone down to Tebeja to go and scout some talent. Firstly, I want to know what that was like. Have you found any players that are interested? And then also Martin Kumalo, where did this bra come from?
MK47. So I'll start at the back of your question, and then I'll get to the experience at Cape Schools. Actually, it was at Queen's College in the Eastern Cape. Um, yeah, so Martin Kumalo. I saw him. I work very closely with. I follow cricket, Pathway
Yes.
Cricket, because I used to be part of the TAP program as a former SA under 19 coach, and under 19 coach in terms of Lions. So we've got a very great colleague and a very good relationship with Eastern Storm. My former batting coach, Onkin Siba at UJ, moved to Easterns, and he told me about Martin. He was in his under 19 group, and that Martin was in the mix for SA under 19. And Trish Bob Martin got picked. He played that quadrangular series or tri series prior to the under 19 World Cup.
Yeah.
Was doing really, really well. Got to the World Cup opening game, and he got injured. Martin is a very humble young man. Um, Works really, really hard. He's still developing his game, but under the stewardship of Jeff Toyana at Eastern Storm, who they've contracted him. He's been contracted there this season. He's played some T20 stuff. He played at USAs for us, and he bowled absolutely beautifully. Um, he's still developing. He's now being selected for the Test series against England, which is testament to the belief and the faith that Coach Malibongwe has in continuing the journey with Martin and
Yeah.
his growth. And we hope that he will find the next step in terms of hopefully one day he gets into the SA emerging side, or he makes the A side and he goes and he can follow in the footsteps of the KGs, the Kwenas. He's not going to develop at the same rate as Kwena, but he's got the necessary tools as a cricketer, and he's developing the other tools as a human being. He's a great personality. He's a joker. He's also naughty, but I
Yeah.
enjoy him. And he's a great kid, and he's a great asset and hopefully he'll become an even bigger asset for South African cricket at large.
Yes.
So Martin he's a gem, and Easterns have done so well. They have so many of these young men that not everyone always looks at because everyone focuses on the bigger unions, and you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
But they miss out on that guy, and Martin is just, he's phenomenal. He needs a loving hand, and I hope that we are being that for him. And I have a lot of respect for him, a lot of care for him, and I love a lot of care for what Coach Jeff and Easton's and everyone that's involved in his journey is doing to try and make sure that he grows. But yeah, credit to Onge and the guys in the youth structures at Easton's and the club cricket and hub cricket, because he's part of the hub program.
Oh wow.
Um, that he came through that space. Yeah, so if he one day maybe you get him on the chat, he's quite shy, so let's give it a couple of years and work on it.
Yeah.
Um, but Martin's great, and yeah, just that experience in the Eastern Cape was just so. I want to use the word humbling because I was invited by Mr. Cullinan, who's the head of sport. Him and Mr. Mangaliso Mosehle. Um, they invited me to be a guest speaker at the annual Cape Schools. I think it
Yes.
was the
Yeah,
I may
that
get
was.
it wrong, but it's like 50 odd years of Cape Schools. And obviously, it's Cape Schools. I used to attend it as a Western Province youth coach, and in my development as a coach to find talent and watch mainly the Western Province boys, and never really going there with an open mind um, as to who I was going to be looking at. So Mangi told me that he's got a couple of players. He's got two very special cricketers in Ryan Denston and Bhavana Matham, who I had interest in a couple of years ago, and obviously the relationship between myself and Mangi and the relationship has developed with Mr. Cullinan. It was fitting that I go there for the tournament, so I was going to do a speech to the boys, and that was a great invitation and an amazing weekend where they hosted me as a school and as a group of founding schools that were there to just integrate, to chat, to see good cricket on sometimes on tougher conditions to bat. It was tough weather that snowed there. It was very different. It was tough for the boys, but there was such good cricket to watch. I got to see these two boys that I wanted to get to. There's another boy, Benny Hansen, who's the SA under 19 captain.
Yeah, I seen him. Yeah.
Now that I wanted to see, so it was so nice to just watch some school cricket again without people coming and bothering you. I was just roaming around, and I got to interact with Brendan Kleinans from Sax and Alan Willows, who are former, are mates of mine from Cape Town. Yaku and Rob Dalrymple from Rondebosch. Mr. October was there, the Western Province Scout, who is a very good friend of mine. So just good to be back in that cricket circle at a school level. You just observe and learn from their way of doing things again, and maybe just refresh and reignite myself and what I do and how I do it. Because at times you get caught up in win, and you
Yeah.
forget that we're molding people, we're trying to build people, we're trying to develop people, and just being reminded of that and being able to seeing all those eyes when I did my speech was unbelievable. Just those kids were just glued and latching onto every letter and word that I was saying to them, trying to inspire them about their future and what the journey is and what it produces and the meaning of Cape schools and the meaning of sports and the meaning of academics. And hopefully some guys caught that and they're going to use that in the future and they can be better for it. So that would be my small contribution to the week, and I'm just so thankful for Queens and the Eastern Cape. I'm grateful to Mr. Cullinan and thankful to Mangi for connecting me and setting me up there. It was really, really an amazing experience that I'll hold on to for the rest of my life.
Now I'm glad you had that experience because you say it was so humbling. You can easily get caught up in the win-win-win, the day-to-day things, and it's nice to be able to, tap into something that you're used to, but a bit different in terms of performance because you just went there to enjoy the week and give a speech and obviously you were hosted by the founding schools and so yeah, I'm glad that you are humbled by it that's what I take from that conversation, because now every time you go back, you know, it's more of a refreshing aspect to your life.
Yeah, massively. I mean, I mentioned those three boys. There's another boy who's under Elkington who's at Grey PE. He's a wrist spinner that bats. Geez, there were so many good cricketers there. There's these boys that I saw at under 16 week now that Esmond van Wyk travelled with. Um, and Esmond is him and I used to play against each other a lot because he was at UWC and I was at Western Province Cricket Club, and we just got chatting about players, working with players, and he's got some really exciting talent at Weinberg that I'm going to keep my eye on in the next year because those boys are grade 10, grade 11, and some will be going into matric. There's a really rich group wealth, a massive wealth of talent in South Africa. That's just the Cape schools. There's Michaelmas that I've been to before, also it's hosted at Maritzburg College and so forth in the Midlands.
Yeah.
But there's enough talent in this country to sustain us if we do the right things, and that's the exciting thing. And we gotta always keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of enough talent, right? For me, I've always looked at it like, I always ask this question as a fan, as a spectator, is like, we never, I feel, this is just my personal opinion, is that we never in the past would retain the talent. Like we just pick the top crop, and then you know the others fall by the wayside. What's your take on that now recently?
Look, it's a difficult thing. I think in certain tiers and spheres of the game and the structure within our cricket and I guess our sport, some are win are gonna win and some are not gonna win. If I say that, I mean some are gonna get in and go all the way, but coming from a university space, but there are guys that don't necessarily need to play in the test side. No one, not everyone needs to be Temba or Aiden or Ryan or Keegan Peterson or Diervald Brevis. But there's a guy that makes sure that those guys, there's a team manager,
Yes.
there's a physio,
Yeah.
there's logistics, there's the analyst, there's the performance coach, there's the coach, there's the assistant coach, there's all sorts of things and structures. There's the social media, there's the videographers, there's enough for everyone that loves the game to still experience being there and being involved with the Proteas, being involved with the Lions or the Warriors, um, and that's where the universities come into play, where education is paramount. Higher education is important so that these young people can live dual career lives. And I think we all live dual career lives. Some people you have your job, but you have your family and you have your side hustle. I mean, we're in the fourth industrial revolution, if not the
Yes.
fifth.
Yes.
You have your friends, you have your work colleagues, you have your hobbies, you have this big wheel of managing your budget, your money, your income, your this, so it's important that we don't get too fixated in every kid will be a protein. No, 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 no. We can create a pathway about how you may get there, but not everyone gets lucky to catch the A train.
Yeah.
So if you don't catch the A train, what do you do in the next train?
Yes.
Or what do you do while you're waiting to get onto the A train? How do you develop yourself? How do you seek the opportunities? And that's where critical mentorship is so important from us as coaches. And I know that the coaches that work in the university spaces, the Ryan Baileys, the Kevin Yeovil, Brady Barons, and Brady Barons, Richard Pybus, and Faik Davids at UWC. All these coaches work under a blanket of student first, athlete second.
Yes.
So you need to become qualified at something before you can live that. Some get lucky, but the one percenter,
Yeah.
Luandre and Kwena are they few and far between. What
100%.
is happening with the rest? What conversations are the mentors and the coaches having with the rest to keep encouraging them to play and develop their skills? Because You have a Stubbs who never made the under 19 side,
Yeah.
but he's turned out into this. But he went into the university space and
That's
played club
exactly my
cricket.
point.
So
Yeah.
there's many pathways. There's many pathways, Reese. So not everyone can make it, but they need to, if you want, if you dream and you're passionate, you keep chugging away. I want to coach the Proteas.
Yes.
I want to coach the Proteas one day. But how many guys are going to coach? Coach Shooks is doing a great job.
Yeah,
Rob
phenomenal.
is building a team for that white ball structure.
Yeah, yeah.
Mantla is
100%.
doing a great job. It started with the women. So we can't all be there.
Yeah.
Wandy's had to win trophies with the Lions, and
Yeah.
and he's a fielding coach. So we all have to climb the stairs rather than the lift.
Yes.
Because the stairs you can at least go back. You can be an under 19 coach and academy coach and then go back to under 17 and relearn and fix yourself. You can be a franchise coach and go coach at the university and redevelop your skills and your growth and your passion and ignite how you develop and redo it maybe a different way as a coach. And maybe that's a better way because you've gained more experience. You've taken the hit. You've got a little bit of scar tissue, and now you use that scar tissue to inspire and vigor young people to be top players. And I think, look, I speak a little bit about my journey, but I think it's important to climb the stairs and not the elevator because
Yes.
that's when you learn your true self as a coach. And I still make mistakes. I know there's Coach Russ will tell you he also still makes mistakes, and he's a coveted international coach. Jeff, successful coach. Wendy, we all make mistakes because we're human.
Yeah.
Sometimes you pick a car that someone doesn't agree with you on, but you back the horse that you back, and you believe that that guy will get the job done, and maybe needs more time. So yeah, those that don't make it, there's other options. There's other opportunities. Those that do want to make it, stick to it, but make sure that you get an education so that you have something else to think about rather than a string of bad scores or not taking wickets and losing a contract. And now you're seeking another contract and you keep doing this runaround, which is what happens with a lot of our. Whew, the controversial here. It happens with a lot of our players of color.
Yes.
They jump from union to union to union to union to because there's no because they are not always they're a commodity. Now I will play because I need the contract. And I need a help at home. I need to put food on the table.
Yes.
I'm not playing because now I want to be the best and I want to go on this journey. And economic times, I guess that is what it is. It's the socioeconomic challenges that our country faces. They do create that pressure on these young men and young women.
Yeah.
However, if we can get them into an institution and partner with a union like Lions have with the two institutions in Johannesburg, I won't mention the other school down the road.
Yeah.
But they've put things in place to partner up with the universities so that they retain their talent and hopefully they can develop these young people as they go on their journey to being cricketers, either for the Lions and hopefully for South Africa, but also to become academic sort of professionals.
No, that's just such an incredible insight, and I'm glad I asked that question because it's so loaded, obviously, based on your response. And I want to move on and ask a very important question. Um, how do you go about building culture? I know UJ has a strong sense of team about them. What are your focus points to achieve this?
Build culture. There's many ways to do that, eh? But it's not you that creates culture. You need to create a platform for it.
Yes.
Um, you need to create social awareness and social integrity, so guys can be together and be respectful around each other of each other's beliefs and values. You also need to have your core value system, and that starts from leadership. You have to have your negotiables and your non-negotiables. But culture is also created and owned by the people in the environment.
Yeah.
So I believe in each one teach one.
Yes.
So I can learn something from you. I can learn something from the physio, and I need to open myself up to. Oh, those light bulb moments,
Yeah.
and they allow for a good connectivity amongst people. But to create a good culture, I think there needs to be honesty, integrity, there needs to be fun slash enjoyment, and there needs to be hard work, and sometimes there need to be disagreements
Yes.
and respectful disagreement.
Yeah, yeah. I
How we
think.
create that, we need to be open and honest with each other. There needs to be truth.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I was just gonna say. I think disagreement is very important.
100%. So yeah, UJ culture, some people might like it, some people don't. It's a tough environment, it's a competitive environment, but there's a lot of care for each other. The guys really do come together when things are tough or when even things are good. We'll sit in a rained out game, for example, on Sunday. We got called off. The guys get some burry. We sit together. We have a quiet little get together. Guys catch up on what they did in their holiday. They share stories. When we go together. When we go watch a varsity cup football or rugby match, we watch it together. When we go support netball, we watch it together. Already there, you start creating the workings of a culture of supporting other people and caring, and without expecting them to come watch us.
Yeah.
Um, because our game we know is long. You know, cricket is a long sport. It's on a Sunday, but when they do get an opportunity, they will pop in. You know, if we're playing during the week, they'll pop in and watch. If we at Vas or at USAs, they'll follow the link and comment and all of that stuff. So, you know, we it's a tough one to say how to create a culture. I think it's
Yes.
something that's also got to develop itself organically. Um, you know, to create a winning culture, you have to have certain reference points about how to win,
Yeah.
certain reference points on training culture, on how the previous generation did it, the legacy, in our case, the UJ cricket legacy, the players that have played at UJ. That's part of our culture.
Yes.
And emulating or exceeding that or setting your own benchmarks is dependent on the current generation. And if their standards are above, if your
Yeah.
standards are above, then when you do fall, you fall to your standards. But if
Yes.
your standards are average and you fall below your standards.
Yeah.
Whether it's culturally, whether it's training wise, whether it's winning wise, whether it's behavioral wise, whether it's academically being accountable, you fall below your standards if you have average standards. But if you have high standards and above everyone else and you set your own, not let's compare with the others. No,
Yes.
our standards are here. If we do fall, we fall to our standards, but we
Yeah.
never fall below. So that's the culture we have. There's a brotherhood. We speak of a brotherhood, the UJ brotherhood, um, and you know we're working hard and also building our ladies' culture and integrating the club a little bit more. And that you got to allow fluidity, time, engagement, interaction for that to take place. So there is no set way to really build a culture. There are traditions that we have,
Yes.
um, and we use them. We don't have initiation, so sorry to anyone that's listening that thinks they're going to get belted or run around the field naked. No, we don't do that. We don't have a drinking culture. Um, Students are students, they'll go out and have a bev. Um, and respectfully, that's their space. And as long as they're safe and enjoying responsibly and they're not wearing the badge, they can carry on. What I don't know can't hurt me.
Yes. Of course.
Uh, so as long as they're safe and responsible, then they are adults. And um, so yeah, so culture, it's a lot of things. It's very multi-pronged.
Yes. No, thanks for
It's
that. I obviously asked that question selfishly for me and how I can implement that in my space. And also, we've just started something new, um, which is called a captain's council. So we've identified all our leaders within grade X to Y, and I'm tasked with being able to go and speak on this. So this is already kind of research going into that.
yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
No, man, it's a pleasure. It's just yeah, leadership and all of those things and culture. Allow it to happen. They'll do it. They'll do it
Yes.
themselves.
Yeah.
As long as you create, they must have time together. Everyone must
Yes.
have time together and time for each other. That way you create an understanding. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
No, that's beautiful. And then staying on a very similar note, what does your player coach relationship entail? I know this is quite unique and important to you, to the way you coach as well. And you've been successful using these methodologies. So, would you be so kind to share that with us?
Yo, some relationships are rough, man. Some relationships are, it's a gradual, 'cause if you create a path, there's a clear path that you create in a scenario for a player to understand what the end goal is. You can, everything's about trust. So, Reese, I can't have a go at you and a full dart at you when you do something wrong over and over again if I don't have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
There needs to be connectivity. There needs to be, we need to, you need to get me, I need to get you. You need to see things from my side, I need to see things from you. I need to put my arm around you and say, hey man, like, I mean, I've coached you, so you know how I interact with guys, but I'm a hard guy.
Yes.
I'm truly a tough guy in terms of what I want. And earlier in the conversation, I spoke about mediocrity.
Yeah.
I don't do average. So whether we're running, you don't do average. Whether you're bowling, you don't do average. Whether you're batting, whether you're preparing, whether you do fitness, you're in the gym, don't be average. Because normally there's a 25% or 30% of effort that you could have put in that you didn't put in because you allowed your mind to get in the way. Um, so yeah, I'm honest. I'm an honest guy in terms of how I deal with my players. Um, but there's so a gentle side that's required. There's a soft side, there's a caring side, there's a phone call, there's empathy, never sympathy. There's empathy. Um,
Yes.
there's personal investment also. Um, there's going to the place where, well, if your family's having something or you've lost someone or you're doing a thing at home and you need support, I'll make sure that I'm there if I can make it there. And I try my hardest to make it there because I care. And it's about caring about the human. It's about checking in with the human before you deal with the cricketer. If you can get into the human space, you can
Yeah.
take care of the trust cricket relationship. And then you can tell each other. Some of my players have told me, coach, if this and this is rubbish. But you know what? It all comes from a place of love.
Yes.
And we've had to create that over a period of time, and you need to be good enough with people. Some people don't take to it. Some people are very quiet and they miss what you are saying. And when they miss what you are saying, when they
So,
miss what you are saying, no problem. When they miss what you are saying because they listening to, sometimes the group is getting a bollocking as a group for a poor fielding performance or average fielding practice, then some people take things personally. And maybe the growth is in reading the room. Okay, who can deal with this ACAC and who actually can't?
yes.
Some guys you need to call them aside and sit down and say, hey man, come on. Some guys there's a barrier you speak to their parents or their agents. You say, hey man, I'm struggling to get through to this guy with X, Y, and Z. I've done this, that. These are the numbers, this is the situation. Some guys you need to have a factual conversation because they see things in their own eyes only.
Yes.
So players are different, just like people are different. So you as a coach, and the bigger the squad, the harder it is. So you do get it wrong with some guys suffer in silence and they're desperately yearning for your time, but you're trying to cover another gap and you miss out on that, and then the guy's like, yeah, but I'm not getting opportunity, so I'm gonna leave because he doesn't understand the vision behind his growth and what you're trying to do. So you won't always get it right, but you have to try your best. I think you need to create opportunity where you can. But in creating opportunity, opportunity needs to be earned.
Yes.
You don't play because you've been at every day. You play because you are performing and you are practicing well. And now there's a string, there's consistency, and now the opportunity must be awarded.
No,
not because I'm in attendance. If you tick a box and you come to training, well, guess what? Anyone can tick that box.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's a my coaching style is quite simple. I'd like to be relaxed, a little bit more. I think depending on where I am when you are dealing with instilling certain things
yeah,
in the beginning of a year with first years, you have to be honest. You have to be clear. You need to be direct. With the seniors, you can argue and say, "Hey, come on, man, come to my office. Let's chat about this, or let's go for coffee. And this is how I want it to be. And then, what do you think about this? You can. There's a difference, and you can
yes,
manage. You have to learn to weave. You need to be a chameleon as a coach, also because you need to fit into that color, fit into that growth, fit into that environment. There's that group of guys that are suffering, and that group of guys are not playing. The happiest players are the guys that are playing first team on the Sunday.
yes,
The happiest 14 guys are the guys going to USAs. The 14 that's the other 30 that stay behind that we leave in Joburg. Some of them are conspiring to leave, five of them are six or seven or eight, or 10 of them are unhappy, they want to go somewhere else. The others, they confused as to what happened to them, they're still dazed and shocked,
yeah,
and then they come back and they're like, what's going on? So there's many dynamics in my environment.
yes.
It's not like when I coach provincial cricket where it's the best players, I've picked you, I believe you deserve this opportunity, here you go, let's go to work. University, some guys they pay their own way.
Yeah,
They're there, so they're not on scholarship, so they tell you to buzz off. Some guys have the needs. They have the means to pay their fees. They don't need your program, but that's where sometimes maybe they're missing the picture. If I'm honest with you,
no, I get that
because
completely. Yeah,
yeah, so that's my style. It varies, Reese, but I'm honest. I'm fair. Um, I'm very truthful. If you're not good enough, I will I will be honest with you and say, listen, what you are doing now, we can't be doing. We need to work on X, Y, and Z in order to get there. And if you don't understand that and you take it as if I'm telling you that you're a terrible person,
yes,
I don't know how I can help you, my brother.
yeah,
Maybe. So yeah, truth is truth. It's good. It'll set you free.
no, absolutely. And that's the comedic side of you, right? That you just showed there, because like, I know that from, you know, 2019 when I had met you. So I knew very quickly, hey, listen, if you don't pull your weight, you're out. And then eventually, COVID happened, unfortunately. But even then, I knew, kind of my time was, I wasn't ready, or I don't know if I wasn't ready, but I didn't think I could, pursue that space. So, like you said earlier, you need to find other ways. So, I quickly pivoted and said, listen, let me focus all my energy on my coaching, and I feel I've been uh, fairly successful in that regard.
And that's maturity. A lot of guys can't pivot, so they try to reinvent the wheel somewhere else in a different environment with the same behavioral patterns,
Yes.
and they expect a different result, which is
Yeah.
never going to happen.
Not
That's
gonna
called
happen.
insanity.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Um,
someone in science called it. But if you pivot, you go, well, coach, can I help you, or can I try to learn how to do this? Can I come
yes.
sit in this course or this talk? Now you're trying to diversify the way you do things,
Yes.
and that's how it works.
No,
So
100%.
yeah.
Coach Sia, how do you balance being a manager,
You
being a coach, and being a mentor? And what are the differences between between these in terms of the UJ perspective?
Ooh, yeah, no, you're taking me to my meeting with my boss today.
Wow.
Coach, I set up the structure, so the structure already works. So that's been something that we've got a certain routine that is consistent. There are minor tweaks and changes and fluidities that we allow, but that's how the coaching element works. The management side, I try to do after training or before training, where we set things up, where the beginning of the year now, we're dealing with scholarships and all of this stuff. And all of those things have been set up because the planning last year, the recruitment was done so meticulously and so precisely, and it's correct and everything works. If we miss someone, we miss someone. We won't catch them all. that means we need to look deeper into our program and work harder and go back to the drawing board, which is the coaching element of it to develop their skills.
Yes.
Um, we also have an executive committee at the club who help in managing the workings of the club. But the buck sits with me. I have to answer to the SD and, well, first my line manager, and then he has to answer to the SD. Um, and The mentor side of it, I think mentoring and mentorship is, it's down to that thing I spoke to you about, the relationship.
Yes.
Some guys don't need you to be their mentor, in terms of they've kind of got structures in place and things in place, advice, and it's normally sound advice and you trust them, you carry on. Other guys, they need you to keep them close, they need you to phone, they need you to go for a coffee, I don't know, when the trainer says they're allowed to have McDonald's or McFlurry ice cream thingy, and just have a chat quietly or have a braai. You just touch base and check in. It's very fluid. It's day to day life with them, and but except that some guys you're their hero, other guys you definitely not their hero, and other guys you need to try massage a bit of understanding so that they can soften up and open up a bit and ask questions and ask leading questions. Tell me why you feel like this. Tell me why you behave like that. Tell me why you acted like that. What was going on? What were you thinking? How are you feeling today? Everything starts off with the greeting.
Yes.
And you can see the guys when they come into the gate or get out of their cars and walk across to the nets, who's had a tough couple of lectures or is anticipating a tough return of a test mark. Um, some who's broken up with their girlfriend or there's rocky situations in their relationship. They can't hide it. It's, they're young men. So you just got to be supportive, understanding, and you also need to listen. You need to hear what they're saying and try and absorb whatever it is that they try to. Some guys speak on the side and you catch it through a player mentor. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's also another element. So we've got structures and things in place that support what I'm trying to do, the mentorship side. Some guys speak to Coach Martin, my assistant coach, and then he'll relay the message and say, hey, maybe you must check on this guy. He's a bit wobbly. So we work as a team, all of us, and some guys will speak to the captain and he'll voice it, or the player rep, and he'll say, or we'll be uncertain about someone, and we'll send the player rep and he'll go, hey, what's happening? Or find out what it actually happens at the gym, or the physio tells us, or the trainer tells us, hey, this guy's going through something, and you guys, just check in. And that's what we do. It's a holistic, everyone does their part. It's not, I mean, yes, I'm the gaffer, but the gaffer only does so much, and I think he gets a lot more credit than he deserves.
Coach, yeah, I obviously have this conversation, and these talking points have been, I must be honest, a little bit selfish because I want to absorb as much information from you as I possibly can to go and implement in my space. So, again, very grateful for your thoughts.
No, no problem. We've got a couple more minutes anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, Coach Sia, before we close, I know there's a whole list of questions I wanted to go through, but I'm not going to touch on those because people can find those on the internet. I just felt if I needed more content, I'd go there. I just want to find out what your thoughts are on transformation,
Yo,
briefly, if you can.
hey, transformation is, it's happening. I guess I could say that. Um, it's not happening in SA20, obviously,
Yeah.
um, but hopefully that changes as time goes on. Look, I don't like to jump on the bandwagon. I've spoken about this topic a lot, and everyone's got a comment on their viewpoint. And my opinion that I make is not of the University of Johannesburg. It's not of any other federation or body that I've been affiliated with.
Yes.
However, it's my own experience of it. I think transformation is organic and it needs to be. Opportunities need to be created because of the history of our country and the really, really horrific suffering that has taken place over the many years. Um, however, opportunity also needs to be deserved. We are 30 years down the line, and there's enough people and players and personnel and coaches that are of color and from all different ethnic color groups that can be rewarded with opportunity. But we should also create that opportunity and start getting to the best players of color, in the right roles. But we also mustn't be unfair as to how long the stick is for certain people when they don't perform.
Yes.
So we can't have different rules for different schools, if I could say it that way. Um, but I know there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of progressive effort that's being made, and we could be better. But I'm not a politician, I'm not a national coach or a national selector. I know how I manage it in my environment, and maybe it's not always perfect, and some people might feel like they're missing out because of X, Y, and Z. But it is what it is. I want to pick the best players. Um, I want to pick the best people that I believe will help our program grow, and those are the people that I work with, and those are the players that I work with. And I hope that one day we'll get to a point where you know people of color sometimes don't get overly abused for not performing, and other people things go silent when they are not performing. I think that's injustice, and that's just as bad as racial profiling, I guess.
Y-
Because honestly, the right media writing is going to be for all. You tell the truth. That's good reporting.
yes.
Um,
Good
and bring
journalism.
up and bring up the numbers and bring up the stats and bring up the data and be truthful about it. However, we're growing. We are a young democracy, so I'm also very mindful of that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure with the leaders that we have in place and the roles that we have, I mean, everyone dropped questions on the director of South African cricket about is he good enough, and I would love to meet all those naysayers now
Yeah.
when he's in two or three finals. The Proteas are in the Test final. His Test coaching staff has been successful. The T20 side was successful. The women's team successful. The under-19s were successful. What now? You know. So let's give people a chance and not look at the fell cakey man. Don't look at their skin. Just let them do the job because they're qualified. And they're good enough to, and give them a chance. Let's not always look and say, well, a certain ethnic group can do it better. I think that's very warped thinking, and yeah, I'm not going to offend anyone. I won't say the rest, but it's not the greatest of outlooks on us. So transformation. Those are my thoughts on it. It's organic and it needs to be.
Yeah.
Um, we have enough people around that we can give opportunity to, so we can develop everyone and make sure that we understand that the majority cannot be missing out because the minority are holding on to certain portfolio and certain space. I don't know if I'm putting it the right way. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
there's
Makes
enough
sense.
qualified around without offending anyone, and I hope that I didn't. And if I did, I do humbly apologize if people aren't understanding what I'm saying. But if you're a true South African, you'll get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think, Coach Sia, I know you've spoken extensively on that point. I just wanted it on my platform because I feel the need and importance of voicing it and not, going silent. I want to move on. A couple more things. Number one, you spoke about numbers earlier. Temba Bavuma,
Two,
your
two more,
thought.
please.
Sorry, say again.
Two more questions. I'll definitely weigh in on the timber one.
Okay, so your thoughts on his career so far and leading us into the World Test Championship final?
I'm allowed to be biased once in a while.
Of
Never
course.
a doubt in my mind. So, um, yeah, Timber is a special human being. He's a really good captain. I think everyone thinks the South African captain needs to be like some of our former captains,
Yeah,
and some of our former captains being the Dean Elgers, the Sean Pollards, Faf, Hansi, Smith. Timber's the first brother to be a captain,
yeah,
and he's the currently in this previous year or this championship, he's got an 88% win ratio.
Yes,
The closest guy to him is Sean Pollock with 53%.
that's crazy.
Temba's played nine tests in this cycle,
Only lost
right?
one, I
Nine
think,
test
Lex.
matches. He drew one. He didn't lose one. He hasn't lost a test match in this cycle.
That's crazy.
As him as captain, I don't count the team as him. That's
Yeah,
just fun facts for you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just
of
to,
course, of course.
um, but yeah, Temba is a special human being, and I think if people just allow themselves to enjoy him, he's not a guy that likes to talk a lot. He's very much about performances. Um, he knows what the vision is, and he's very tight-lipped. He's respectful to the country and the nation and everyone. But Temba in 2021 averaged 53 in Test cricket.
Yeah,
53.6, rounded off, it's 54. Um, in 2022, averaged 40. In 2023, averaged 50.4. In 2024, he averaged 55.8.
yeah, those are insane
Think,
numbers.
think. Start just respecting, because if we can compare his, I don't want to go into the conversation of his T20 numbers because they're not great. They're just as good as some of the guys that are playing now. But maybe it's not his rodeo, subject to your opinion. But his 50 over numbers are good enough. I think he averages about 40. I
Yes,
just can't remember what that stat was,
I'll find it for you quickly.
or what the stat actually truly is.
You
But I
can
was
keep
speaking to
going.
someone about it, and I'm like, whoa, this guy averages 50 close, he averages 40 odd in Test cricket, and he averages 40 odd in 50 over cricket. Why is there so much of a fuss? But let other guys that I think he strikes at 83 in 50 over cricket. He averages 43 or 43 or 48, I can't remember. They look the same. I've got four eyes. And he strikes at 83 or 84 in 50 over cricket.
Okay, so strike rate is 88 and his average is
Ooh, how is that?
42.9.
So he averages 43 and he strikes at 88.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I would love to, when we get off this platform, can you do some homework or research and find out the guys that average 40 and above in 50 over cricket?
Yes.
How many games does he play in 50 over cricket?
44 ODIs. 43 innings.
Okay, let's look at guys that have played 40 or more ODIs that average and have those numbers or better. He must be up in the top 15 in the world.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
At 40 matches, what were they averaging
I get exactly where you're
and
going.
striking? That's an interesting stat to find out. So yeah, but there are guys that have played 50 or 60 at this point, and they're averaging at 30 and they strike at 80. So yeah, man,
What are we talking about
just
here, is what to
stop
say.
looking at the guys. What I'm saying is, let's put a little bit of respect to Temba Bavuma.
Yes.
Let's those numbers are not terrible, are not bad numbers. They're actually very good numbers
No,
in
those
terms
are
of world
serious
standards.
numbers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Serious numbers.
So but everyone will tell you about uh let me go with the foreign player. Let me not speak about a South African player. Um, everyone will tell you about why are you laughing? I'm just saying, bruh. I just want people to respect the guy,
Yes.
and I hope that they do now. I hope that he wins a Test championship, um, and someone will tell you about Shy Hope or Brathwaite. Brathwaite has more innings in Test cricket or matches than Temba as a captain for the West Indies, and I'm certain that he does not have better numbers in the last 5 years than Temba.
No, I doubt it.
If I'm
I,
wrong,
I
if I'm
only,
wrong, I'll buy you a nice brown beverage in a bottle for you to consume.
highly unlikely. I think I'm gonna have to buy you the beverage.
So all I want is the guy to be respected for his leadership qualities and his Temba's a crisis man, and and now at least he's captaining a team that is not in crisis. That is, yes, there's still a developing test side. He's got a great coach in Coach Shukri, who I think has got an amazing cricket brain. And they've led that team so well with the rest of the team and the Red Ball staff. Let's just give flowers to the people while they're still alive. Let's not go one day in 75 years' time and say, yeah, Temba Bavuma was a decent captain and he was a black captain. No, he's a South African test captain.
Yes.
End of story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not a black South African test captain. He is a South African test captain. End of story.
No, that's so well
And
said,
he's
Coach.
going to be one of the best batters. I don't know. Maybe. Hope so.
No, so
So
well
yeah, that's
said.
my take on him.
Thank you for that. I'm glad I asked that point. And then in closing, Coach Siya, could you please give us an all-time favorite 11?
No, Reese. Reese, I can't. I don't want to offend legends. I can't do that. What are we talking? I can't speak on T20 cricket. I'm a purist. I love Test cricket.
Yes.
In that sense.
That, that's where I was
that's
going.
fine.
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to ask one more question.
Opening better. Let's chat. I might be wrong. That's fine. I'll answer a top six. I may be wrong. It's my opinion. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
off the cuff.
completely your
So let
opinion.
me
Yeah, it's
extend.
off the cuff.
Opening batter. Opening batters. I'm going with Graham Smith.
Yes.
Um, can I not choose a captain?
You can.
No. Okay. So Graham Smith will open the batting for me. I'll get to my captain at the end once I get through the list.
Yeah.
To open with Smith in the modern day game, I think he would still be deadly. Is Matty Hayden.
Okay.
At 3, Hashim Amla.
Yeah.
I know I'm leaving out punter, but I'm South African, so I'm going with Amla.
Yes.
That's my bra. At 4, I would have. These are my favorite cricketers, so that's my 11. At 4, I'd have the king himself, King Callis.
Yes. Good one.
At 5, again, I'm South African, so I'm going. Actually, I'm not gonna have him at 5. At 5, I'm gonna have someone really, really special to me that I got inspired to enjoy the game and love cricket, and I'm gonna go BC Lara.
Okay.
I just think with AB de Villiers at 6 behind him, sure, unbelievable.
Listen, the opposition's already under
It would
there,
just
man.
be an amazing show to watch. That's my top 6. At 7, yo guys, modern day game, right?
Yeah.
MSD,
Great pick.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I know
Yeah.
I'm leaving out Gilchrist, but I just don't know where I'm gonna put Gilchrist. So
Top
I'd go
or
with Dhoni.
7. Yeah, Dhoni.
Yeah, so he's at 7 for me. All rounder at 8. This is now where it gets tricky
Yeah.
because I can't have no. At 8, I think everyone needs a rock star, and we've got a couple of entertainers. But Andrew Flintoff at
Yeah.
number 8 would be
Great pick.
fantastic.
That's a
in that
great
team.
pick. Yeah.
Bowled 140 plus, so I'd go with him. At 9, I'd have the late Shane Warne,
Yes.
if I may.
Yeah.
At 10, ooh,
There's only one person for that spot in my mind.
it's tough because Jasprit Bumrah has to play in that team.
Brian Charles Rabada.
No, he's 11.
Okay.
I've got Jasprit Bumrah at 10, KG at 11, and my 12th man, so I can't leave him out. You just don't know what wicket you're going to play on, but
Is
I
that
think
Vern?
12th man, I'd probably go with. No. Shoaib Akhtar, man.
Nice, nice.
he, he bowled absolute rockets.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That's a great pick to have on the
Uh,
sidelines there.
and I know I've left out. I mean, if you're allowed to have 13, then I definitely have Curtly Ambrose as 13, and then I have options whether to leave out the spinner and play all the quicks. So
Yes.
if I'm allowed to have 13, I'd pick that would be Curtly Ambrose would be 13, and in no particular order from a bowling point of view. Um, and there's so many. I mean, there's
Yeah, there's
Brett
so
Lee,
many.
hopefully,
It was just a
Danny
general
Vittoria, they've got so
idea
many.
of, what your team would look like.
Yeah, so that's what I'd go with, and hopefully we'll be playing everywhere in the world. I've only got one spinner, but I only need him.
Yeah.
Um,
You only need him, you
with,
don't
with,
need another.
no, with those fast bowlers, I'm good, man. He's probably only bowling before tea, and I'm day 4 or 5. But yeah, no, thank you, Reese. That's. It's funny how every platform my 11 changes.
Yes. Yeah. Look, that's gonna happen, right? For me, for example, I would have had Gibbs open with Smith. Like that was my favorite combo.
Yo,
But
for serial, Gibbs over Smith.
no, Gibbs open with Smith.
Actually, in my one day side, I would have had Gibbs opening with Gilchrist.
Okay, okay, okay.
One day cricket, I would have had Gibbs with Gilchrist.
Yes.
Punting at 3.
Oh, so it kind of does change. You see how it does change per format.
Yeah, or even punting at 4 and have Gilchrist up front, Gibbs at 3.
Sure. Now
And
that's
then
a
you don't need a, you can pick a batsman at number 7. You can
yeah.
have another
You
genuine
can
batter at
yeah
number
yeah
7.
yeah
You
yeah
can
yeah.
play around and have Virat Kohli at 5 and Lara at 6. And then
Yes.
you can have another hitter at 7. And then you have your keeper.
Yeah, that would be
Yo,
incredible.
imagine you could pick from those players.
Sure, bro. Look,
Yeah,
I
so
know we can
exciting cricketers.
we can be all night having this conversation. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you so much for your time, and I want to wish you all the best. And looking forward to hearing from you soon again.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the platform. I really enjoyed the chat. It's nice to have a nice cricket gander and a life gander opportunity. So I'll probably be chatting to you in the near future, hopefully in the next month or so.
No,
With some new
absolutely.
news.
Yeah, it was fascinating, and I look forward to hearing from you, Coach Sia.
Yeah.
Salute. Have a good one.
Thanks, my brother. Over and out.
Cheers.
Cheers.